Good afternoon, everyone. Today is September 29th, 2022, and we're here with the Skyline College for the Claims and Compensation Application Process webinar. We'll give a couple seconds for the participants to come in and populate the room. I want to thank everyone for joining us here today, and I want to thank Skyline College for giving us the opportunity to present this information to you and to your families as well. So this presentation on claims and compensation application process, we've got a couple of great presenters who are going to go in detail over some of the specific things out there. My name is Sean Campbell, and I work with the California Transition Assistance team. And what we are going to do is we're going to go over this great presentation. We're going to have a good question and answer session afterwards. And as we're going through the presentation, you're going to probably have some questions. We ask that you use the Q&A, the questions and answers tab, so that way we can make sure and track your questions. And we are going to try to use the chat to pass information back and forth to you. This is being recorded, so remember that this is an open forum, so try to keep your questions general in nature and respect everyone's privacy. And as for myself, as I said before, my name is Sean Campbell, and I work with the California Transition Assistance Program, and I'm one of the training coordinators there. My job is to help veterans of all eras connect with their earned benefits and inform them about new changes in different programs that we have. We want to provide that support and assistance for you throughout your entire life cycle, because we recognize that your needs change over time. And we've also identified 5 basic pathways that we like to use to help guide people through those moments that matter in their lives. Whether it's the core curriculum that answers a lot of general broad-based questions. Maybe you might have some educational goals that you're looking towards, and we've got a section on that. There's a pathway to help you out with employment and achieving those needs. If you want to take that giant leap into the world of entrepreneurship, we're there to help you as well. And then we work with a lot of different service providers. So those 5 different pathways are really out there to help you explore and navigate. This is the Veteran Resource Book. It is what a lot of my teammates call a bucket of benefits. There's a lot of great information in this, and my teammate's going to drop a link in the chat so you can get a copy of this as well. But this is one of those tools that's going to really be able to help you out and help you navigate through all of the benefits that you and your families have earned. So let's talk a little bit about my program in CalTAP and how to use the online portal and how to use the process. This is the main landing page for calvet.ca.gov. And from this main landing page, you can see on the lower right-hand side of your screen, the CalTAP icon that's highlighted. You can navigate there, and by using that, you can see the different pathways that I was talking about before. The great part about this is that it gives you 24/7 access to videos, to PDFs, a lot of documents, and just really help you navigate through all of the great stuff that's out there to help inform you about the different benefits and changes. If you look at the bottom, it's kind of with the blue circle where it says archives. You can access some of our previously done webinars that are really good. You can also navigate through the Calvet YouTube page to access some of our previously held webinars with great information that you can access 24/7 as well. If you start with the core curriculum, there's introduction, understanding, resilience, healthcare, claims and compensation, which we're going to go about in more detail today. And then you can explore some of your California benefits. You can see it's highlighted here. And that's a great question. What are my California benefits? Well, the state of California has a lot of different benefits for you. One of the greatest benefits that the state provides is people like Kevin, who's here today, and they're called local interagency network coordinators. These are people whose whole role is to make sure that you find out and that you navigate and you have a live human being to help walk with you through all the different processes out there. And we have one of the greatest ones, Kevin, with us today, who's going to explain a little bit about what he does in a second. In addition to that, The state of California has the college tuition fee waiver for the dependents of disabled veterans who have a disability rating of 0% or higher. There's a veteran designation on your driver's license, which can unlock a lot of commercial benefits that you might not be aware of. Motor vehicle registration fee waiver, if you have a mobility related disability and you qualify for it, the DMV will waive registration for one of your vehicles. Reduce hunting and fishing licenses, no cost state parks passes, and a lot of different tax exemptions that are out there. And because there are 58 counties, there's a lot of information going on. We always recommend that you speak directly with the county assessor's office. And then on the right side of the screen, you can see that our building, the California Department of Veteran Affairs, we have a lot of different divisions. We have a home loans division, so that way you can grab onto your dream. A women's division, a minority division, which really do a lot for advocacy and navigating services to the underserviced population of veterans out there. There's long-term care homes and Calvet, there's cemeteries as well. So you can look into your legacy and really explore that. Some common veteran websites we want to make sure you're aware of. VA.gov, they just released a phone app for this recently. It's an excellent tool to help you navigate through and access the benefits in different healthcare as well. This is what their screen looks like. So you can burn that into your hard drive for later on when you're navigating through it. And My Healthy Vet, this is an excellent tool to help navigate through all of your medical appointments. There's over 19 million pages of really strong medical information, in addition to tracking your health records, sending messages back and forth to the VA, scheduling appointments, and getting your pharmacy needs filled. We ask that whenever you communicate with us, you use a non-DoD email address so we can continue to provide that service for you. And it does help us if you use the surveys, because we want to make sure that we're engineering and building webinars to meet your needs. Take a moment when time permits to create an account on our website at mycalvet at calvet.ca.gov. And once you register, it'll help you get monthly newsletters, as well as really customize the benefits to meet your needs. This is my contact information, and I want to thank everyone for giving me a few minutes today to talk about who we are and what we do. And next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Kevin Graves. Hello, Kevin. How you doing today?
And I'm doing great. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Sean. Nice job. Appreciate it very much. So yeah, I do outreach for the state. I've been doing it for about 13 years. I currently serve in the Cal Guard as a chaplain assistant, 56 Mike with the 185th MP unit out of Pittsburgh, California. And it's my pleasure to be here to speak to you guys today. Can I get the next slide? So we're broken up into 8 regions. So there's 8 of us that cover the entire state of California. My region happens to be the light green area in the Bay Area here, where you guys are located. Well, at least where Skyline's located. And and I have 9 counties, which would include the 10 counties, including the 9 Bay Area counties, as well as San Joaquin County. But we have individuals spread out throughout the state. Some have a larger geographical territory, some have a larger population territory, but nonetheless, if you are, this information will be available to you. And if you happen to live in an area outside of the Bay Area, or if you have people that you talk to that you sometimes mentor or help with their benefits or their challenges, please feel free to use this map to find my colleagues in the different areas, because we're kind of, because I know the benefits and resources that are available in my region, obviously much better than I know the ones down in Imperial County or in San Diego County or in Inyo County for that matter. So so this way you can contact people that have knowledge of what's available within their particular region where they happen to be the subject matter experts. Can I get the next slide, please? So in performing outreach, we provide it to all service members, veterans, and their families. We make referrals directly to service providers. If you have a need that we happen to have a for-profit, nonprofit governmental agency that we're familiar with that may be able to help you with that need, we would refer you directly to that program and try to help you get the benefits that they offer, put you in their capable hands so that therefore, whatever the challenge is that you're addressing at the time, they can help you with it. And it's a wide range of different resources. We assist with local emergencies. We've been knock on wood, we've been a little fortunate this year that we haven't had a tremendous amount of fires. We've had our fair share, but whenever they set up a local assistance center, for instance, at a fire, we'll be there to make sure that any veterans that lost whatever they may have lost, whether it be their entire home or whether it just be displaced for the time, we try to make sure that they get benefits that are not only focused on them, but whatever other general benefits are available. It could be that they've lost their DD 214. I remember back in the Santa Rosa fire 4 or 5 years ago when I was up there, we had people coming that lost their hearing aids, lost their meds because they had to get out of their house so fast they weren't able to grab anything other than the clothes that they were able to put on when they were running out of the house. So we try to be there and available for local emergencies as well. And we provide leadership and advocacy within the community. And what that means is that we work together with community leaders and people that are influential in the community to make sure they understand the benefit of having veterans living in their community, how dedicated you guys are, how organized you guys are, all the benefits that come along with hiring or having a veteran in the community. We speak on your behalf and we make sure that the community knows that and recognizes that sometimes they're through public displays, through different events that occur on certain dates, or if it's just a matter of involving veterans in different programs that are available in the local regions. Can I get the next slide, please? Another way we do this is by, I was going to say exploiting our relationship, but using our relationship with our sister agencies. And for employment, we lean very heavily upon the EDD. The EDD has dedicated individuals that are funded strictly to work with veterans, DVOPs and leavers. And so if you're having an issue with unemployment or you're having an issue with employment, and you contact the EDD, make sure you inform them that you are a veteran and they will give you to a specialist that is supposed to work on your behalf. If you happen to call an EDD office, because there's a lot of them, that doesn't have a dedicated veteran, hang up, call another EDD office in the area. There's a tremendous amount of them located within the state. I think there's 30 in the Bay Area alone. Somebody is going to have a DVOP or a leaver, or they can recommend which office has that, but that's who you should be contacting. With regards to state benefits, of course, you're going to hear extensively from our county veteran service officer in your area, but we rely heavily on our CVSOs and we work closely together with them because they are our boots on the ground. They're the ones that certify eligibility. They're the ones that will help you file your claims. They're the ones that have all the knowledge. They studied the 3-inch thick books or whatever they are these days. And so they know what they need to do. They do it 24/7 and they're there to serve you and they do a great job. We rely extremely heavily upon them, even to qualify and certify eligibility on California benefits. We don't do it. They do it for us. So they're instrumental in us being successful. And then, of course, within Calvet, we have our own programs, and Sean has gone over some of those with you earlier. And then with regards to healthcare, we partner with our big brother, the VA, who through their med centers and also through their vet centers provide not only medical help, but psychological and mental health resources, and do a good job. And we have representatives here today. They're going to talk about that also. So can I get the next slide? Oh, that's me. There's my contact information. That's my work cell phone number. Either one of those, both of those emails go to the same email address. So either one you want to use is great. Don't forget my name. And if you have run into any stumbling blocks, don't seem to be getting the service that you need, I can help you, guide you in a direction that may help. I can't be responsible for how other people give you that service, but I will promise you, I will help you weave your way through that system and do the best that I can to help you get the benefits and resources that you've earned. And with that, I want to thank you for your time, and I want to pass it back over to Sean.
Thank you so much, Kevin. It's great to have you here today. Next coming up is going to be Ed, who works with the County Veteran Service Office. Hello, Ed. How are you doing today? Thank you again for joining us.
Hello, hi. Hope everybody can hear me. I'm having a little bit of a challenge getting my video up, but I'm hoping the audio is okay.
Yeah, the audio is fine. It sounds good.
So we're just going to muscle through right now with the audio. Does that sound all right? Which is better for everyone. You don't have to see my ugly mug, but we got a good presentation for you. So let me start by introducing myself. I'm Ed Kirkson. I'm the County Veteran Services Officer for the County of San Mateo. And so Kevin was talking about Veteran Services Officers, and we were having a really nice little chat before this presentation started, really kind of reflecting on how much effort the state of California makes to try to make veteran services and veterans programs available to veterans. One of the key ways they do that is by requiring each county in the state of California to have a county veteran services officer appointed. So there are 58 county veteran services officers across this state. More importantly, though, all these counties add additional staff and offices in order to support the work that county veteran services officers do. So what I wanted to talk today was very high level, to cover a little bit of the work that we do and how we can help serve veterans and their family members. And hopefully some of the information I provide maybe spark some interest, and I'll give you my contact information at the end, so you know how to follow up with me and we can help answer your questions or connect you with any of our partners that may be able to answer those questions or help you out with whatever your needs are. So next slide. All right, so let's start really quick by doing a high-level overview of sort of what the different entities are that help provide services and programs to veterans. So of course we have the federal level, which is the Department of Veterans Affairs, and there are going to be 3 different departments underneath that, or administrations within that. So there's a Veterans Benefit Administration, there's going to be the Health Administration, and Cemeteries and Burials. We work pretty closely with the Benefits Administration in helping veterans access the different disability and compensation and pension programs that are available to them. California State Department of Veterans Affairs is the state level. They administer most of the programs that we'll assist you with. They are also the organization that accredits all veteran service officers in the state of California. At the county level, as I mentioned, each county has a veteran services officer. Our county has not only myself, but has also hired 3 additional veteran services reps and support staff. So we have an office here to assist veterans, and we have capacity to help multitude of different veterans with different programs, some of which I'll talk about in a moment. But keep in mind, each county has a veteran services officer. Now, because we're all accredited through CalVet, any veteran services officer can help you. You're not limited to the county veteran service officer in your county. But what I always suggest and always recommend is if you're going to work with somebody, work with someone who you could sit down and talk to face to face. So I'll talk a little bit at the end of this how you can find your local veteran services officer in your county. But in the meantime, if you have some general questions, of course, I'd be more than happy to help. And then last but not least, there are a slew of local service providers. There's DAV, Source of Plowshares, American Legions, VFWs, a lot of different programs that are associated with training veterans, assisting veterans with housing, supportive services, education, even helping veterans start their own businesses. And we can help you connect with these folks as a part of your journey through the VA system. Next slide. All right. So I touched really briefly on the 3 different administrations within the VA. VA Health, which there's going to, I believe there's going to be a portion of this where there's going to be more discussion on the different programs that VHA provides. There's the Veterans Benefit Administration, which again is a program that we work closely with, and they help with compensation, education, training, home loans, life insurance, veteran readiness and employment, along with the different benefits programs. The National Cemetery Administration, which is burial benefits, headstones, presidential memorial certificates, nationwide gravesite locator, and other cemetery and burial benefits, which again, we can help veterans connect with. CalVet, which is the California Department of Veterans Affairs. You know that we're here because of the CalTAP program, but one of the big programs that we have a lot of veterans coming into our office to talk about is a college tuition fee waiver program, which is a California exclusive program. So if you're a service-connected veteran, your kids can go to California State College for free. We could talk a little bit more about that, how to qualify and how to access that program. California also has its own veteran homes, state cemeteries, and multitude of other different programs to help with housing, education, employment readiness, et cetera. Next slide. All right, so what do the CVSOs do? So we provide veterans and their dependents free benefits information, assistance, and counseling. In 2020, CVSOs brought approximately 540 million new annualized federal dollars and 336 million in continuing annualized benefits for California veterans. We draw down a tremendous amount of federal resources for veterans. We're the gateway to helping veterans understand what kind of programs they'd be eligible for, how to apply for those, and then actually helping you apply for those different programs. Next slide. So types of assistance, we do provide comprehensive benefits counseling. We can help you understand any of the different programs that are out there, make you aware of a lot of different programs that you might not even be aware of. We do networking and advocacy with federal, state, and local agencies. We assist survivors with the DIC program, which is Dependency and Indemnity Compensation for Survivors. So this is for individuals, spouses, widows whose veteran spouse has died either as a result of, directly or indirectly, disease or injury caused by service. We can help veterans or their family members, help them access burial benefits for the veterans. Biggest program that we probably help folks with today is claims and compensation, and I will talk a little bit more about that in a second. Pension and life insurance programs, we can help with records requests. We can assist with discharge upgrades, and I'll talk a little bit more about that also. The college fee waiver, which is, again, a huge program. This year alone, we've already waived almost $900,000 worth of college fees in California for San Mateo County veterans alone. And of course, veteran designation. So for those of you that are veterans that may not be aware of it, but you can actually get the title veteran on your California ID or driver's license. You can also get it on your license plates. So we can assist with that also. Next slide. So let's talk a little bit more about the biggest program that we assist veterans with, and that's service-connected disability. So what is service-connected disability? Well, service-connected disability, it starts with any condition, injury, or disease that was caused by, aggravated by, or first diagnosed during military service, as long as it's chronic in nature or has residuals. So in other words, if you were injured in service, apologize. I'm going to double check and ask if everyone can hear me okay, because my microphone is giving me a little bit of a hard time here.
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, excellent. Apologize for that. Let me continue on. Bottom line is, if you have an injury, that injury needs to be chronic in nature. So I'll give you an example. If you hurt your knee in service, but your knee is perfectly fine today, well, then you don't have residuals. But if you hurt your knee in service and later on you find that you're starting to develop arthritis in that knee, then that becomes a chronic condition that we can file a service-connected disability claim for. Next slide. So what is required for service-connected disability? So you have to have that chronic or issue with residuals today. That issue, that disease, that exposure, that event has to have occurred during military service. And we need to be able to provide a link, what we refer to as a nexus, between that current issue you have right now and, again, that injury, disease, exposure, or event that occurred in service. So what we'll do with the veteran is we'll sit down with them and we'll understand a little bit more what kind of chronic issues they're dealing with today. We'll have a conversation around how we think that may have been incurred or aggravated through service. And then we're going to talk about what you did in service. For example, if you were lifting a crate off a 5-ton truck and you hurt your back, well, did you report it? Were you treated for it? Were you diagnosed for it? Based on that, we're going to go ahead and put together the evidence we need to file that claim. So the claim is going to require 3 things. You're going to have a current issue, disease, injury, etc. We're going to have an event that occurred in service that either caused it, exacerbated it, or led to the issues you're dealing with today. And then we're going to have to put together the evidence necessary to link those to submit your claim. So that's what our office is going to do. We're going to sit down with you and we're going to go through this process. We're going to help you put that claim together and help you submit that claim. Next slide. So how do we do it? So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to have that conversation with you. We're going to see what type of program that you might be interested in. So let's say it's service-connected disability. Well, first thing that you do is you determine whether you're doing a new claim or if you're appealing an existing claim. If you're doing a new claim, what we'll do is we'll actually file an intent. Now, what that intent means is we're notifying the VA that we intend to file a disability claim. We're not going to tell them specifically what it's for at this time. We just let them know that we intend to file a disability claim. What that does is it captures the date that we submit the intent and gives us up to 1 year to complete the claim. So we'll let the VA know And then we'll go about collecting the information and evidence necessary to file your claim. When your claim is submitted within the year, goes through the process, and is adjudicated in your favor, you will be paid retroactively to the date that we filed the intent. The main thing that the intent does for us is it gives us the time necessary to put together a good, thorough, well thought out claim and not feel rushed to do so. We're going to talk about things like I said, is it in your service record? And if it is, we're going to gather information. We'll see if we can pull up your service treatment records, your service records, gather any additional medical opinions that are necessary. If it's not, that doesn't mean you're out of luck. There are quite a few claims that are submitted after the fact. One great example of a claim claims that we're dealing with today are for exposure to Agent Orange. We have a lot of Vietnam era veterans who decades later are starting to develop diseases that are known to be associated with exposure to Agent Orange. They didn't complain about it in service, but that doesn't preclude them from being able to file a claim. So we work with them to put together the information that we need, and we take the information that is already readily available that shows a strong link between exposure to Agent Orange and numerous different types of cancers and diseases, and we use that to file a claim. So once the claim is filed, you'd be invited to attend what's called a compensation exam. And so the VA is then going to have you come in and have one of their examiners do an examination for each of the issues that you're claiming disability for. And the purpose for that one is to validate the claim, and two, more importantly, to determine the degree of disability that that issue presents. VA disability is granted on a scale from 0 to 100%. In essence, what it's saying is that they evaluate the severity of your disability and then assign a percentage to determine how disabling it is. So if you are 50% disabled, what they're saying is that we believe that you've essentially lost 50% of your capacity to do the work that you've done in the past. And we are going to compensate you for that. If you're 100% disabled, essentially what the VA is saying is that we believe as a result of your disability that you are, for all intents and purposes, 100% disabled. Once that examination is completed, we wait for a decision. Next slide. Now let me follow up on that last slide before I move to discharge upgrades. One of the reasons that I think it's really important that everyone understand what a Veteran Services Officer is and what a Veteran Services Office does is that we are accredited to the VA. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to access your VA files. So when we file a claim, for example, we're going to take a look at what you already have in your VA file. Okay. If that claim is denied, we look at the reasons for denial. And the VA does deny a lot of claims. A lot of times they're denied not because they don't believe the veteran, but because there might be one piece of information that's missing, or they may say that we can't make a decision without this additional information. What we as VSOs will do is we'll look, dissect, understand what the cause of the denial is, and then work with the veteran to file an appeal to get that claim resolved in their favor. A significant percentage of claims that are filed are denied, okay? But a very significant percentage of those claims that are denied are re-adjudicated once an appeal is submitted, and the findings oftentimes go in the favor of the veteran. For a lot of veterans that go about filing claims on their own, they find that that process can be very daunting. And a lot of veterans actually, once they get denied the first time, just pretty much give up hope and walk away. The difference with working with a accredited Veteran Services rep is that essentially we've seen it all. And we're going to tell you what the VA is doing, where we're at, what our next steps are, and quite frankly, if we really should be pursuing this thing further. One more thing I want to add that's not on the slide, and I think it's very important. Keep in mind that in particular with the passing of the PACT Act, which has had a pretty profound effect on the types of disability claims that are available to post-Gulf War veterans, particularly around toxic exposure, burn pits, fine particulate, et cetera. What you're going to find is there's going to be a lot of organizations out there that are advertising that they can help veterans get their compensation. Veteran Services Officers work for the counties, okay? We never charge a veteran or their family members a penny. Every service that we provide is free, and we're accredited. meaning that we have access to the VA files. Most of these organizations, not only are they not accredited, they will charge you a fee. In some cases, it could be 50% of your compensation for years. And so I deal with veterans all the time that come in and say, hey, I filed a claim. I only got half of what they told me I was going to get, and they're collecting half of that also. If you reach out to us, we'll have a long conversation with you about what your claim is, what it looks like, what the next steps would be. There are certain instances and where working with an attorney would make sense. And in those situations, we would advise you to work with an attorney. But if you don't need to work with an attorney, you don't need to work with a paid organization, then why do it? More importantly, we'll more likely get you the outcome that they're going to get you, except we are not going to charge you a penny for it. So that's my little stump speech for being very cautious right now about who you go to talk to about VA claims. You should never have to pay to access any of the benefits that you're entitled to. Okay, we'll talk about discharge upgrades really quick. So discharge upgrades can be a little bit tricky, all right? If you're already out of service and you have received something other than honorable discharge and you want to contest it, there is a process that we can go through, but not everyone is going to be eligible for this process. The first thing that I suggest is you see a website there. There's an assessment that you can take online. This is a great first step to see if possibly you may be eligible for a discharge upgrade. In a nutshell, discharge upgrades only occur when you can show that something was done incorrectly in the process of assigning you your current discharge. Okay. Essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to petition the Department of Defense and say that we believe that the discharge grade that was given was incorrect for the following reasons, and we're petitioning to have it upgraded. I want to go ahead and dispel the myth that exists that just getting out of service and keeping your nose clean for 20 years automatically gets your discharge upgrade. If you do not take any action whatsoever on your discharge, it will never change. Okay. So again, I would really suggest that you start by going to this assessment tool. It's a great tool to get you started. If as a result of that assessment tool, you believe that you may be eligible for a discharge upgrade, please give us a call. We'd be happy to help you walk through the rest of the process. And more importantly, we can connect you with legal partners like Source of Plowshares who work specifically in helping veterans with discharge upgrades. Next slide. How do I find my CVSO? So there's a number of different ways to find your CVSO. As I mentioned, there's 58 of us. So the Calvet resource guide actually has every single Veteran Services office, phone number, and contact information in the guide itself. So you can go to the guide, and not only can you see information as to where they're located, but you get other useful information like different contact numbers, walk-in hours, etc. This is really important because with the pandemic in place, a lot of Veteran Services offices are not necessarily open for walk-ins 5 days a week. For example, San Mateo County, we are open for walk-ins, drop-ins. That means unscheduled, just walk in and talk to a VSR on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but we schedule appointments for Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Next slide. You can also go to the Calvet webpage and you'll find the Find a Service Provider link at the top. You go ahead and click that. And what you're going to do is you're going to type in your zip code and the maximum distance of service. And what it's going to do is it's going to provide you a list of all the Veteran Services offices that are within that range and in your locale. Next slide. You can also call 1-844-SERVET, which is 1-844-737-838, and give them your zip code, and they will point you towards the local Veteran Services office. Here in San Mateo County, we're located on Quarry Road. But before you stop in, I'd give us a call, and so we can have a good conversation around what it is that you might be interested in talking more about. And in a lot of cases, we can help you pull together the information that would be best brought to that first meeting so that we can have a very productive first meeting. Next slide. My name is Ed Kirkson again. So I'm the County Veteran Service Officer of the County of San Mateo. Our office is 555 Quarry Road, San Carlos. Most importantly, they'll give us a call first, 650-802-6598. So that way we, again, can kind of go over sort of the things that we'd ask you to bring to our first meeting. And we can go ahead and lock some time in so that when you walk in, you walk right in and you can feel relaxed because you're not being rushed. We'll sit down and take as much time as we need to work with you on your claim. If you're not comfortable seeing VSOs in person, we're happy to do things over the phone. We can do video chats also. And in certain circumstances where there are some mobility issues, we can also come out to the veteran. But start by giving us a call and we'll go ahead and get all those details set up.
Thank you so much, Ed. That's a lot of great information. What I want to do is I want to make sure to put everyone's contact information out for the participants to see today. And I'll make sure and come back to this slide again. Let's take a look at some of the questions that have come up and see if we have an opportunity to work with my teammate, Jana. Hello, Jana. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, thanks. Okay, so it looks like we did get a few questions and I was able to answer some of them, but Ed, I'm gonna bring you back on here. We got a couple questions that I was not able to answer, if you could help me out. So our first question was, how much will the veteran's monthly disability check going to be raised to, i.e. what percentage?
Okay, so I'm going to take a stab at trying to understand this question. So a disability checks, there's a number of things that are factored. For example, the percentage of service-connected disability is what determines how much of a disability check you're getting each month. But there's other programs like special monthly compensation that are associated with specific disabilities that can also tack onto it. So is the question here how to determine what how much a percentage pays, or are we asking perhaps what the annual COLA looks like? Because there is an annual COLA that's applied to disability compensation, and so each year typically their disability check at whatever percentage will go up a certain percentage based on COLA. So perhaps if it's whoever's asked, I think it's Robert, can perhaps ask or clarify a little bit more what they're looking at specifically, or what they're asking specifically. I can try to answer that.
Okay. He also had another question too. He was asking if he's able to be buried to where both of his parents are buried in Golden State National Cemetery.
So the first thing I would suggest is reaching out to the Golden Gate National Cemetery to see if there is a plot that was set aside specifically for them at the Golden Gate National Cemetery, because I understand the Golden Gate National Cemetery is not accepting new veterans. Okay, there are certain areas where plots have been set aside already, and the National Cemetery could determine if that's the case or not. If you are a new veteran and you've never and you do not have a plot waiting for you there, odds are that you're not going to get into the Golden Gate National Cemetery at this time.
Okay. Another question came through. How could I claim my medical records if I wasn't able to get it during my ETS period?
So if you're talking about your service treatment records, when you file a claim, we can actually request a copy of the service treatment records. Now, I just want to put a caveat on that and say that the National Archives were closed for a significant period of time during the pandemic, so there is a pretty lengthy delay. So we can ask for any copy of your records, discharge papers, DD-214, service treatment records, etc. If all we're doing is simply asking for a copy of those records, it can be upwards of 6 months right now. Now, that doesn't mean that we need those records to file a claim. When we file a claim, what we're going to do is we're going to point towards where in those records we believe pertinent information would be found. And then the VA would pull those records up and then go through those records as part of their due diligence to identify any supporting evidence that might be in there. I hope that answers that question.
Great. Okay, so the next question, this might be a little bit of an effort, so or group effort from us. I can probably answer most of this, but someone's asking, can you explain the free college for children in California? So when we talk about free college, we're talking about the California or the college tuition fee waiver that is for dependents. The question is, must I be a resident? The veteran, you do want to check with whatever school that you are going to have your dependents attending, because every once in a while schools can have their own jurisdiction on making some of those decisions, but Typically, the veteran themselves does not have to be a resident in California, but the dependent does have to have California residency. And please correct me if I'm wrong on that. But and then can I have residency in another state? My kid in California? Well, yes, you can. Absolutely. The child must be a dependent, yes. And whether that is your own child through blood, or if you have gotten married and the person you are married to has children, then those would be your dependents as well. And I'm correct in saying that, correct, Ed?
Yeah, you're correct. The age limit is 26. There is an income limit. So one of the requirements when you're filing this for this program is either we need a copy of that child's tax return from the previous year, or we need to get a letter from the state that says that they didn't file taxes. The other thing I want to mention, though, is that you also have to be a service-connected veteran in order to qualify for this program.
Yes, that's very important. And there are 4 different programs. They're labeled A, B, C, and D. We can go through which one that you would qualify for, either Ed or myself, after this webinar too, if you have further questions on that. So the next question is, never thought to ask this. How do VSOs and their organizations profit or stay in business while doing this for no back pay?
So California actually provides a subvention to each county in order to have a veteran services office. But probably the thing that's most important is that the counties themselves pony up the difference. So this is all paid through either the state, federal government, or the counties. And that's the reason we end up never having to charge a veteran for anything.
It's wonderful. Somebody asked, effective dates always get me confused. If you file a claim on day 1 of a month, what is your ED? And then what about claims filed day 2 through the 31st of the month? Basically the question is, when are the dates of the first payments received?
Okay, so I'm going to try to make sure I'm not misunderstanding the question. In terms of effective dates, yeah, if you get it on the 1st of the month, it'll actually go to the beginning of the month. Anything after that, it starts at the beginning of the following month in terms of the effective dates. What is the date of the first payment received? Okay, again, if you submit it on the 15th, it's going to be the first of the following. It's going to go back to the first of the following month. Okay, when you will actually start receiving payments is when the claim has been adjudicated in your favor.
Is it more advantageous to file a new intent to file or appeal a VA claim decision? It's for a condition that was the cause of a medical retirement. However, I was reduced from 50% to 0%. Background, it has been over a year since the decision letter was sent, but it was due to contact information being incorrect / absent in the system, and an appointment was missed.
So anytime you're filing a claim for something that you have filed a claim for before, if it's not because the condition has become worse, then it's going to be an appeal. Okay. The year to appeal really is to continue with that effective date. If so once you receive a decision via the VA, that decision could be that we deny you. Okay. We deny your claim for the following reasons. Or they may say, hey, we approve your claim and we're approving it at 10%. And in your mind, you're like, well, that's not high enough. Okay, it should be 30%, right? Anytime you disagree with that, you have up to a year to appeal and keep the original intent date alive. After that year, you've lost the connection to the intent date, but it still remains an appeal. Okay, so the example I'll use is, for example, let's say I hurt my knee, and the VA granted me service connection for my right knee and essentially said, we believe it's 0% service connected disability. And I say, well, no. I'm looking through the CFRs and I'm looking through all the diagnostic manuals, and I really should have been rated 30% for that knee. Okay. That would be an appeal. Another example is, let's say I was rated 0% for that knee, and 2 years later, it's gotten worse. Then I would file a new claim for increased service connection because the problem has become worse. So I hope that answers that question. But an appeal is going to be an appeal, whether it's within a year or not. A new claim is going to be a new claim as long as you are submitting something new to the actual claim itself.
Okay. The next question we have is, are we supposed to request burial benefits and then determine location options?
What we'll do with the family members or with veterans that are setting themselves up is we'll put you in touch with the burials division, and they'll actually walk through and help you understand what plots are available and in what locations, and then work with the family to get that set up. So it changes all the time. I just know because Golden Gate National Cemetery happens to be a very, very popular location and cemetery, that they've been very clear for a long time that they are not. There's no more spots available there. So, but what we would do is we'd put you in touch with Burials and Cemeteries admin here in Sacramento, and they can walk you through all the different options that are available.
Okay. Okay, so the next question states, Vietnam era, non-combat USN PTSD. I have requested my service record and it shows that it is being processed, but no contact for over a year. I am receiving VA mental health benefits. What do I do now?
So that's pretty typical right now. Essentially, there's a records archive where everybody's files literally exist in folders. And whenever a request for a record is submitted, it goes to the archive. They go and find all the files. They collect them. They send them to an imaging unit, which then images and indexes them. Once that's done, they notify the VA that the records are available electronically. We have been seeing well over, especially in the last about a year ago, I know that we had some DD-214s that were well into a year and a half at that point. So there's not much we can do about it. They have been operating with a skeleton crew for years, and at the same time, the same flow of claims in. So they're still trying to deal with the current request for records and the backlog that they created. Now, you do not need to have a copy of your service records in order to file a claim. Okay. Again, we can use what your knowledge is of the service records, but more importantly, the information from your current medical treatment to support or substantiate the claim. If the claim is not adjudicated in your favor, we can always appeal it. The VA has to be very specific as to why they made a decision. So if they deny you, they're going to have to specifically tell us we don't have a current diagnosis, or we do not have enough evidence to show that whatever the current diagnosis is linked to something that occurred in service, etc. And during that time, if we get a copy of the medical records or the service treatment records, and they're of value to us, then we can continue to go through those looking for markers and information that supports or substantiates a claim. But you're going to be waiting for that for a while. If that's what you've been waiting on to file a claim, I would suggest you really reconsider that, because you do not need the copy of those records to file a claim and get the process started. And again, more importantly, the work that you're doing with treatment now becomes critical, because that's going to help also substantiate, one, the diagnosis, and two, oftentimes will help enlighten the VA as to what the potential cause or contributing factors were.
Okay. Can you receive VA disability compensation for mental issue / trauma, for being discharged from the military, for being gay without serving the full 4 years, just the first term, even though DD-214 is an honorable discharge and reason for discharge is homosexual admission? This occurred before the Don't Ask, Don't Tell was lifted in 2010. Also, if you can upgrade the discharge reason, would that be, what would the upgrade change be?
Okay, so let me try to answer this as best as I can here. So if as a result of your, so I would imagine that during service, right, the process of even being identified and being told that you're going to be discharged from service for being gay or homosexual can be a traumatizing event on its own. Okay, these are the things that we'd absolutely want to explore. So it's right now it's wholly and completely accepted that veterans should never have been discharged because of their sexual orientation. Okay, and to do so was wrong. If you are having to carry residuals as a result of that, then we need to be having a conversation, because very well in there we could have service-connected compensation that's due. Okay, an honorable discharge. There are ways of so this would be the RE code typically that would identify the reason for the discharge or that person's inability to re-enlist because of the reason. Depending on the time frame, which was typically 20 years from the date of discharge. After 20 years, we really can't change anything. But if it's within 20 years, which I don't believe it would be, we could petition to have the re-enlistment code changed. I think the bigger issue that we need to be talking though about is that if you were discharged and it had an effect on you, you could be entitled to service-connected disability. So I hope that answers that.
Yeah. So I am noticing there are quite a few more questions. I don't know that we're going to have time to get to all of them. We're going to do a couple more, but some of these are pretty specific in your own situation, and I don't want so many details to be getting about all of your guys' personal stuff. So if you guys do have a personal situation, it would be a really good idea to call Ed directly or email him directly after this is over, so he can address without having to give out too much detail or too much personal information. But we can do a couple more questions, so we still have some time. So the next question states, can BDD eligible Joes file an ITF on day 180? Does doing so get them to any expedited process in addition to the BDD one already?
So this one I would suggest just calling the office and going ahead and letting us have an opportunity to talk about this.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the questions also.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the question is. The medical records, you are looking for reoccurring entries. We look for we have a copy of the medical records, the service treatment records. What we're going to be looking for is we're going to be looking for any markers or indication that shows that there was potentially an issue that occurred in service. Obviously, if you receive direct treatment for something, then that's absolutely something we're looking for. But a lot of times folks, for example, that get assaulted may never report it, but there may be several markers in their treatment record. For example, being treated for lacerations to their face, etc. Things that we collect and put into the sort of bucket of evidence to support whatever the claim is. So, and then I'm not sure the next question from Robert, what are the across the board percentages at the White House Biden said? I'm not sure what that question means. I apologize if you're referring to the PACT Act. I give us a call because we have been putting together presentations and sharing the information on the PACT Act. I do have a number of flyers that are available that can talk a little bit more about what the PACT Act has done and who its expanded benefits to, that I'd be happy to share with any veterans that have any questions. Did you want to scroll down and see if there's any other kind of outside the United States, 100% from disabled? Okay, that question, Robert, would have to go to the VHA. Okay.
Let's see here. So it sounds like a slew of these questions are now getting they're getting a little bit more in depth with personal situations. So because we have been doing questions for so long, and I do want to make sure that everybody's time is accounted for today. I think we're going to end the question section. We have a couple more things to go over on the webinar. And like I said, I'm so sorry if you didn't get your question specifically answered, but please reach out to Ed directly, or you can call us directly too, and we can get you the phone number of the CVSO that is in your area. If the County of San Mateo is not your directly home CVSO, we can get you to the correct office. So Sean, if you want to jump on and continue on to the next slide.
Well, thank you, Jana. A lot of good questions, a lot of great information, and I'd like to thank Ed, and I want to definitely thank the college for allowing us this opportunity to share the information with you. I'm hoping that each of you can take that moment for us and take a look at the survey, because we do intend on implementing improvements and holding those future webinars to suit your needs. And I'll put the survey QR code, I'll leave this up for a second. But again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us and definitely want to thank Skyline College for this opportunity. Some upcoming webinars that you can enjoy: maximizing your education benefits. We have that on the 6th and the 7th. And then we have a really good webinar coming up on the 20th, where we're going to look at the PACT Act expansion of burn pits and toxic exposure presumptions, and really dissect that and cut that into bite-sized chunks. So a lot of really good information. And then I want to go back for a second and put that survey back up. So give everyone an opportunity. And then as we close this up, I'll make sure and take that extra moment to thank each of you for your service, and to thank your families for participating in all of the energy and effort and everything that you've done. Just want to take that moment to really say thank you from all of us, from the Department of Veteran Affairs. Here's some of information that we have: the QR codes for Facebook, for our actual website as well. Have the YouTube channel and Instagram. The YouTube channel is something that I really do recommend, that if you have that opportunity to navigate through some of the great videos that are there. This video specifically, this webinar, will be posted by our media team in the near future. So you can always go the archives area we talked about earlier and look into that. And I want to end this webinar going back to the contact information for Ed and for Jana, for Kevin, and for our hosts as well at Skyline College. I just want to thank everyone. It's 12:57, so we're going to take a moment to leave these questions up for the next couple minutes, so that contact information, and then I'll end the webinar at 1 o'clock exactly. Thank you again for everyone for participating, and thank you for joining us.